massive Pride Day. We are celebrating Pride Month. That happens every year in June. And Massive Metro decided that today is the day that we are going to be spotlighting our friends of the LGBTQI plus community. And I'm making a new friend, and you're also going to make a new friend. If you go to @MassiveMetro's live, you will see him there, and you will also see me there, the same way that you are hearing me. Look at the beauty of technology. Remember, on social media, the plugs are @MassiveMetro, @TheElementSA, and you can find my wonderful guest, Gyre, on @Gyre_SA. Right? I am right, aren't I?
Yep.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you. You look cute. We were having chats earlier on about how tricky lockdown has been.
Girl, lockdown has got us all looking like the pits every other second. Next thing you're calling up. Yo, good life.
Well, thank you so much for doing a little bit of a fa for me as we have this chat. So, Gyre, I find it very, very interesting that you choose to be out there and loud and proud about the fact that you are a queer rapper. I think especially because with generally the history in hip hop is that a lot of people previously were a part of the hip hop community, were artists and rappers, but they were on the low about it. Why did you decide to take a different route?
Well, when I started rapping in 2015, I happened to be at the time when Fees Must Fall was happening, and I was doing a lot of my raps were about conscious stuff, and I now believe all rap is conscious, but nonetheless, I just believed that I just couldn't help but tell my truth. And to tell anything other than that just it was just completely alien to me. And having done more investigation and immersing myself in hip hop culture, I learned that the best hip hop artists are those who have authenticity.
100%.
And so I thought, well, there's absolutely no reason for me to be anything other than who I am, because at the end of the day, I'm in charge of my narrative and nobody's going to dictate that other than myself. And I found that very important, not just for me, but for those who feel represented by me to feel and see themselves within a mainstream, predominantly patriarchal
and macho.
And
yeah.
So it was very important for me.
How has the response to that been for you? I mean, it's absolutely incredible that you've put that out there, but that doesn't mean that everybody is ready and on the same page as you. And I think that's regardless of whether you're in hip hop or not, we do still have a lot of people in our society who are not ready for the loudness and how proud and authentic you might be.
Well, I think for me, I understand my purpose to be greater than a certain individual, and that individual is not myself either. So it's not about my pride or my fear or lack thereof, and it's not about the next person. It's about what do I have to fulfill in the greater scheme of things. And because of that, I don't feel a necessary any form of I guess there is discrimination, but I don't let that get to me because I know I have a greater purpose. And more often than not, people always think that okay, cool, you're going to be a gay rapper, you're going to have a lot of things to deal with.
Right.
I suffer the exact same issues that all other upcoming rappers face. You know what I mean? And like I said in Queronomics, my debut album, my sexuality will get me views, but my talent will get me places. And because I know that, I'm really not fazed, so I do face some microaggressions, but I'm not fazed by it because I'm going to spit some bars.
Yes, you are. So for those who might not know, tell us a little bit of history about you, and also tell us how your love affair with hip hop and music began.
Well, it was really quite serendipitous. It was one day, and being a studisha raps.
What were you avoiding to study?
Yo, even contract law and I did it twice. It was a lot. It really was a lot.
Wow,
but nonetheless, it was necessary, and it was part of my journey. And through that, I just found that I had lost my singing voice, and rap allowed me to speak without filter. And the more I wrote, the more I noticed that, okay, you're actually really good at this. And then I immersed myself in the culture, and that was going to places where there were predominantly straight men. My first show was at a tavern in my hood.
Ooh, where's your hood?
It's in Serpentine.
Ooh, show me. Hey, whoa, that's that's hectic. What was that like? Yeah, it's there. It's quite there. How was that? What was that experience like?
It was very empowering because I had made friends with other rappers in my hood,
Okay.
and they were like taken aback by the fact that I could rap. So by the time I went into the performance, I got on there and I was wearing like my leggings and I was looking cute.
Yes.
And then as I go in there and I get on stage, everyone gets off stage and walks away and no one wants to do this. And I'm like, girl, bah. So then I took the mic, I spat some bars. By the end, the stage was full of everyone in the tavern.
That's incredible.
And that for me just showed exactly what I said. The sexuality really is just a part of my identity and a part of my narrative. It's like I do with any other rapper, gay, straight, bi, red, black, white. If you got the talent, you have the talent and all that. And that's all that matters, really. And luckily for me, that was the case. And since then, I have really gone leaps and bounds. I've used to thrive off the shock value of people having seen me perform.
Yes.
But now I'm not even taken by that. It's like, dude,
I love that. So tell me about, because I know that you can sing as well. And you were saying just now that there was a point in time where you had lost your singing voice and that's where you found your rapping voice. Tell me about when music became such an integral part of you.
Well, I think it started when I was finding great solace in my music, and I was at Wits. And when I was at Wits, I was studying a law degree, but I absolutely hated it. And I was constantly depressed. And the only escape that I had was going to the studio and rapping. And I think that's where it all began, because suddenly I went from a space where like I'm in a lecture hall not knowing what's going on, to next thing I'm in a cipher and gap hop, and so that's where I believe that the love affair really began. I started performing at Mam Nikki's Oasis in Newtown, and that really was a great platform for me. And then from there on, things just started to pick up because I became more bold and I performed any and everywhere. Literally, sometimes at school, at varsity, there'd be a activation. I'd go up to the manager and be like, yo, dude, please, can I just rap? And then I just rap, and I think hip-hop saved me, genuinely. Hip-hop took me away from being timid about my sexuality to make me actually even more proud of my sexuality.
Right.
Because I saw what hip-hop allowed me to do and the perceptions I was able to change because of that. And for that, I'm forever grateful for hip-hop in and of itself.
What was it about hip-hop that appealed to you? And if you can remember, what was the song that got you hooked on hip-hop?
The first one that comes to mind is No Fear by K.O. Yo.
Shout out to Mr. Cash Time.
I remember first hearing that and thinking, whoa, what is going on? By then I already obviously had heard the commercial hits, but then I was really studying hip hop. And K.O. 3/4 Pace by Kid X, one of the most underrated albums of all time. That was nominated for a summer. People don't even know that. That's a mixtape.
Yes.
And like I was obsessed with them, and little by little, Nicki Minaj, then AKA, and then I started learning about other queer artists, and I feel like that's when it all just started changing, and then I had to start writing my own stuff, and by then I was just obsessed with listening to myself. Because I'm like, oh, you're on fire! What's that bar?
This girl is on fire. Yes, I got you. You see, call me for some harmonies. I've got some pipes.
Lovely.
So just now you were speaking about how you have the same kinds of challenges as far as some of the barriers into industry as any other upcoming artist. Tell me a little bit more about that and what you would like to see changing so that it's a little bit more welcoming and friendly for upcoming artists.
Well, I think firstly we have to start within amongst ourselves, and we need to start understanding the necessity to build an ecosystem that is our industry. So we need to start being able to, dare I say, laissez-faire kind of mentality in the way that which we engage with our art and collaborate with one another. Unfortunately, we are all doing this at a time of Instagram where a lot of things are about competitiveness and what are your numbers.
Yes.
But that's not the point.
Yes, it shouldn't be a popularity contest.
It's not a popularity contest. Like there's literally a lane for everyone. If there's a lane for a whole gay rapper, girl, there's a lane for you.
That's very true.
So like,
very true.
We need to invest in each other, and those are the kinds of things that I do, for instance, in shows like Gyre Nation that I have, in which I speak to other fellow artists, and create that ecosystem amongst us. I think that's important. I think it's also important to hold the gatekeepers, inverted commas, accountable for the work that they do in those spaces, because I have had issues with a lot of promoters because I'm gay, but I also had issues because I'm just an upcoming rapper. And it's like, why is it a problem for you to even slang me a young, like 300 for transport, dude?
Right.
Like, why do you think alcohol is enough? Like, I don't even drink like that, you know? You know, so I feel like we also need to hold them to account, and we also need to really work on legislative, like, implementation within our country to protect ourselves as musicians.
We're going to switch it up a little bit, and I would like for you to tell me what the top three principles of Queronomics are.
Girl.
Yes, honey.
The top three.
Yes.
The top three principles, well, just to put it generally, Queernomics was split into 5 chapters, actually, which is I am human, I am queer, I am sex, I am love, and I am black. And I guess if you can round it down to 3, it's identity, ownership, and self-love, I think, more than anything.
Identity, ownership, and self-love. Expand on those a little bit for me.
Well, it's important for you to know who you are in terms of your identity, and to understand what makes you you, and what distinguishes you from everybody else. Number 2 being 10,
You said identity, ownership, and self-love.
Ownership.
Yes.
Owning your story. You know, it's important to own your story. And I feel like that's what distinguished me as Gyre. You know, I just owned my narrative, and no one dictates my narrative. No one could have, because I owned it from the onset. And in order to own it, you gotta practice that self-love and practice that self-appreciation of who you are, accepting especially your flaws.
Yes. Oh, that's so important.
You know, Queronomics is not just about me. Like, people who really listen to it will hear that, like, there's so many self-critiques that happen in there, not just about the hip-hop community and its misogyny, but gay misogyny as well. Is it like, whoa, dude, like, you've got internalized homophobia. Yo, dude, like, you're gay, but, like, are you paying enough attention to women's rights, black queer women's rights? And if so, and if not, why aren't you? You know what I mean? So it's important to be self-critical, and also to be able to hold others to account in order to grow ourselves as a society. I always say the biggest problem in our society, which boils down to everything, is a lack of accountability.
Yes.
No one wants to take accountability.
No.
And accountability is at the core of progression.
100%, 100%. So tell me about some of the things that you're currently working on. I think it's probably tricky as an artist during the lockdown, and I think even more so as an upcoming artist. So what is currently something that is happening that people can look forward to?
Well, I think I always say this, you know, and I always want to express this to other inverted commas upcoming artists. Uguti, I believe the come up is actually when you're in your mother's womb. They will write your story from the moment you got up into this earth and lived in this earth. And so there's no reason to wait for anything. There's no big break. Every big break is the next great moment that you have. You know what I mean? And so it's with that mentality with which I have entered the lockdown, and that hasn't stopped me. And because of that, I started my own IG Live TV